Alright, welcome back to my channel. This is Aaliyah Brixton, and we are here today with another video. So, of course, over the last 2 years or so, there has been an uptick in the amount of podcasts that have come out to play. And now, while majority of people don't need to be on a mic running their pots, there are a few podcasts that I believe you all should be tapped in with. So while this video is going to be different from the typical ones that you will see on my channel, I think it is important to spread the love and information along that these podcasters are spewing. So we're going to get into my top 5 favorite pods that I've learned to really love and enjoy since this year has started. On the top of my list is Know For Sure Podcast. So the Know For Sure Podcast is ran and operated by B. Simone and her best friend Megan Ashley. The pair have been best friends for 20 years and last year decided to start a podcast together. Now, unlike other podcasts on the list, Know For Sure has no real niche. They kind of get on the pod and talk about whatever comes to mind. Yet, the words that they give are super moving and powerful. The contrast between the two girls make the dynamic of the podcast all the more better. The guests who come on the show appear to be peaceful and at ease when having conversations with B and Megan. It is more like girl talk, kind of, in a sense, where you're talking to your girl pal rather than your typical interview that other people would, kind of have these girls on. So I have heard so many powerful and moving statements come from this podcast, especially in terms of friendships that I have been able to utilize in my everyday life. So I definitely do think that you all should look into it. Their videos drop, I believe, every Tuesday. So, if you're looking for something to do on a Tuesday, Know For Sure Pod is definitely something you could check out. So the second podcast on my list is Nice and Neat Podcast. Now, y'all already know how I feel about men with mics. They be talking a whole lot of nothing, okay? But let me tell y'all something. Omar, Duke, and Jalen, they are the only men who need mics. It's not because they are praising women. It's because they are open to conversation and they are not here to bash women. While I recently just came across their podcast, trust and believe I will be binge watching the episodes and I definitely will be tuning in moving forward. From what I have gathered so far from the men is that they are looking to have conversations in regards to being men who lead. They are opening the conversations about loving your women openly and without any hesitation. Looking at the comments on many of their videos as well, it's this idea that they are helping men who may not have had the proper guidance when it came to relationships or in regards to being a man. So to have a podcast that is teaching men to be better is ultimately the goal. And if you guys are interested in checking them out, their videos do drop every Thursday. So now the third podcast on my list is Soft Life Through Christ. It's a new podcast ran by sisters Radija and Renaya, who were delivered by God last year and wanted to embark on that journey with the world. Radija ran an online boutique that many may have known as Mayuku Me, and Renaya, based on her testimony, said that she was a successful lash tech in the Miami-Dade area. So Renaya, who's 22, and Radija, who is 25, talk about their love for God on this podcast. They also go in depth as far as saying how their transition to being God-fearing women have been, the ups and downs, the challenges, the good and the bad. This podcast is great for women who are looking to make that transition or who have just made that particular transition. It truly gives you options on how to adjust your life and how to fight off the demons that may fall into your line of vision while you're on this journey. They don't have a set posting day due to them believing that this is God's work and they will only post on his timing. So you can't expect to get an episode every week, but if you do subscribe to their channel, you will be notified when they post. So now, veering off a little bit to the other 3 podcasts that I mentioned, fourth on my list is Lip Service, which is another podcast that I enjoy listening to when I'm looking for some funky and great laughs with a few sexual innuendos. Obviously, in the name, it says it all. Lip Service is a podcast ran by former Breakfast Club co-host Angela Yee, Stephanie Santiago, Gigi McGuire, and Jasmine Brand. The main niche of this show is to speak relationships and sex with the hottest celebrities in the hip-hop and R&B world. Angela, having that relationship with people from the Breakfast Club, makes it so that it's easier for them to connect on this show so that the interviewees don't seem as forced in having conversations. Another thing is that if you're looking to tap into a more sexual side of yourself, this podcast definitely gives you some tips and tricks from different hosts that you can try out. They make sex a less taboo topic to discuss, and they aren't afraid to ask the questions that the viewers are looking to know the answers to. You can expect to see this show every Tuesday. Now, last on my list is another podcast that I did recently just get introduced to, IRL by Angie Martinez. So, In Real Life is another podcast that is ran by someone in the radio industry. Miss Angie Martinez herself already has her own show on Hot 97. However, she took her talents over to YouTube to give the viewers a more in-depth look at artists. The biggest takeaway I have been able to grasp from watching her podcast is that the artists look like they are having a natural conversation with their friend. And this is because Angie has been in the industry for years and has established a lot of connections with people. My favorite episodes from her has been the JT and Taraji P. Henson. It tapped in so well to their emotions as well as them just as people, and it displayed them in a light that other people may not have been able to see them on, typically on a regular basis. She's using this podcast to truly tap into women of color and their emotions. Typically, where you see them on the defense in other shows, here you see them in a light that is pure and almost unmatched. It's hard to not get hooked onto the podcast. So new episodes based on what I've been able to kind of grasp an idea of typically comes out somewhere between like a Monday or a Friday. So, guys, as I said before, these are just my top 5 favorite podcasts that I have been very much listening to the last few months as the year has started. Like, I kind of stopped really spending most of my time listening to music and kind of just was like, let me tap into podcasts and really listen to what people have to say, and maybe like that can help motivate and inspire me. And I'm not gonna lie, it definitely has been doing that. So I'm super like excited just to see where the rest of the year takes me, just from like listening to these podcasts and listening to these women testimonies and everything like that. If you guys do have any other podcasts that you do enjoy listening to, definitely comment them down below. In the description box, I will link all of the channels for all of the podcasts that I've been talking about, and I will also link some of my favorite episodes from these podcasts just so you guys can kind of like get an idea of why I actually enjoy listening to them as much as I do. And of course, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I will catch you guys on the flip later. Mwah.